Okay, hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us to learn about this game-changing tool that will help you save time and money on your holiday shipping. Once again, I am Rob Zaleski, Product Marketing Manager for ShipStation, and I'll be your host today. Once again, for those of you who just arrived, I'd like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll be sending out a recording soon after the webinar. If you have any issues during the webinar with sound or audio, try exiting out and coming back in. That oftentimes fixes most of those issues. Also, now is a good time to close down any other web browsers, chat apps, Netflix, or anything else that you might have that's zapping some of your internet bandwidth. You're not going to want to miss a word of today's webinar. And if you have any questions, please feel free to submit those questions in the Q&A box. We'll get to as many as time allows at the end of this webinar. And now, I would like to introduce your speakers. First off, we have Katie Duncan, who is the Director of Customer Success here at ShipStation, bringing over a decade of experience in e-commerce fulfillment, including 7 years as a ShipStation customer herself. She leads a team focused on empowering customers with the guidance and resources they need to grow their businesses efficiently. Originally from New Orleans, Katie now lives in Austin, Texas with her 2 teenagers. Jonathan Malone is our Director of Product Management at ShipStation, and he boasts nearly a decade of experience in product development, specializing in fulfillment and optimization. His career expands from seed-level startups to major insurance firms, giving him a unique perspective on merchant needs of all scales. Originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hello, fellow Midwesterner. With a BA from Eastern University and an MBA from Temple University, Jonathan now resides in Austin with his native Texan wife and daughters. So let's get to what we're going to talk about today. First, Katie will kick us off by addressing the current state of e-commerce shipping expectations to set the stage for you. Then we'll touch on how this new exciting tool called Automated Rate Shopper saves you on your shipping and improves your operational efficiency. After that, Jonathan will give us a demo of how easy it is to set up Automated Rate Shopper and how it makes it easy to choose the best carrier and service based on the criteria that you provide. And then we'll finish up with a Q&A to make sure you leave fully informed and prepared for your best holiday shipping season yet. Plus, we have a special offer at the end of this webinar, so make sure that you stay tuned. And with that, I'd like to hand things over to Katie to talk about the current state of e-commerce shipping expectations. Take it away, Katie.
Thanks, Rob. In the 2024 holiday season, fluctuating shipping costs, holiday surcharges, and rising customer expectations are already becoming a strain on e-commerce businesses. So choosing the right rate has never been more crucial to your business's success. So let's start with some customer expectations. 48% of customers abandon a cart due to additional shipping costs or additional costs like shipping. Tongue-tied today. Fast and free shipping has simply become a common expectation. So 23% of customers abandon a cart because delivery was too slow. So while some early bird shoppers are willing to wait a little bit longer for delivery to get free shipping, those customers will change their tune the further we get into the holiday season. So meeting these expectations becomes even more difficult as carriers implement holiday surcharges and dynamic pricing during these peak seasons to help accommodate the approximate 300% increase in volume. So what is the current problem? The current problem is that online retailers are also feeling the strain of increased volume. So how are you expected to meet these customer expectations while not losing money on shipping? ShipStation provides a convenient rate calculator to compare shipping rates across carriers and services. But when you need to move quickly during the holiday rush, it can still be really difficult to quickly assess those options when trying to get as many orders out the door as possible. With dynamic pricing structures and holiday surcharges from the shipping carriers, what you paid for the same package 2 months ago will likely not be the same as what you pay throughout the holiday season. Also, many online sellers default to a preferred carrier and service for their shipments. So what do you do if there's an outage? Your customers still want those orders as soon as possible, and you don't want to disappoint them. So doing the research to pivot in the moment costs you valuable operational time. And look, online businesses are dynamic. Your business needs may change dependent on current margins, shipping turnaround times, and customer preferences. A set it and forget it shipping rule may not always be enough to keep you as agile as you need to be to compete with the other merchants that are vying for your customer's business. So for those reasons and more, ShipStation has launched Automated Rate Shopper a powerful tool that applies a service that matches a user's preset criteria, whether it's a service, price, and or delivery time, to get the best shipping option every time. This is an improvement over a simple shipping rule because it's a constantly dynamic selection process. You even have the flexibility to override those selections based on business needs should they change, as I mentioned earlier. Automated Rate Shopper offers you three crucial benefits to competing in the e-commerce marketplace. A, you save money. There's nothing more convenient than knowing you're getting the best shipping rate without even having to think about it. So we start you off with some very useful defaults, but you can customize Automated Rate Shopper to your specific and unique needs. B, you save time. Not only do you get peace of mind that you're getting the best rates, but you're doing it without the operational time that's normally invested in reaching that decision. So some of our beta customers are seeing a massive reduction in the number of clicks involved in completing every shipment. This allows you to focus your time and your staff's efforts elsewhere by having ShipStation choose the best options based on your criteria. You can even build Automated Rate Shopper into new or existing shipping rules to fully automate nearly every part of the shipping process. And C, finally, you are in control. So you can customize options customize options across carriers and services. You can also set specific thresholds where you're still comfortable choosing your preferred carrier and service, even if it costs a little bit more. And this is just the beginning. In the future, we even plan to help you hit major delivery date service demands by finding the best carrier and service to ensure your shipment arrives by a specific delivery date. Of course, you don't have to take our word for it. Data shows that some of our beta test customers saw up to 60% fewer clicks when shipping orders. Some are even saving up to 3.8% per label using Automated Rate Shopper, an amount that adds up quickly over hundreds or thousands of shipments. So as you can see, this merchant here saved 30 to 60 minutes per day. Imagine what you and your team could do with an additional 30 to 60 minutes each day. It's really impactful. So at this point, I imagine you would like to see how Automated Rate Shopper works. And for that, I will turn things over to Jonathan.
Thanks, Katie. The team and I have been working really hard on this for many months. And so we're really excited to kind of get this out into the world and into your hands because we really think this is, and we've seen in talking with merchants just like you, just how big of an impact this has on their business. So have a little video here that we recorded, going to go through a lot of the very common use cases and kind of talk through how to set up Rate Shopper, where you can use Rate Shopper, and just all the different powerful tools. So yeah, excited to talk through this. So here we are on the ShipStation orders grid. You guys are, I'm sure, very, very familiar with this. You can see kind of the switch and save messaging that we've had here, which we're here to help you guys optimize where you can. And there's savings here, but we realize that something like that is a manual click. The whole point of Rate Shoppers so that you don't have to do these manual clicks, so you don't have to make that trade-off and spend that time to try and find what is the best rate for your business. You can see here the Rate Shopper. It shows right here in the service dropdowns and in the service dropdowns. When you start an add-on or if you're on the high volume plan and you have UPS, USPS, right, other carriers enabled, you'll see two default Rate Shoppers, a standard and a 2-day. The standard looks at a variety of different carriers and automatically rates against them and picks the cheapest one that will get it there. And then we also have a 2-day one, which then looks and finds the cheapest one that will get there within 2 days. So you can see it's really easy to just select in the drop down and you'll see whether it is any of the carriers for that specific package, weight, distance. It will automatically set that up for you. At scale. All right, so let's go in here. You can see here we have the Rate Shopper. This is one going to Seattle, so it's a little bit farther from our East Coast warehouse. So what I'm going to show you guys here is that it actually will select a different rate depending on if you want the standard or the 2-day. You can see here UPS Ground Saver. If you go for the 2-day rate, what's the one that the carrier's publishing that we're going to get that is going to get there within 2 days? And you'll see that priority mail pops up here. But I think you probably saw earlier for a distance that's closer, right? it's going to find one that gets it there within 2 days, even if it's not, priority mail's 2-day guarantee. All right, so here we've gone into how you can manage it. This is your configuration screen. You can see here very clearly what are the services that are being compared. Here's 8 very common services that we have here through ShipStation's walled rates. And as you can see, lots of different functionality here. I'm going to go through, make something available. That is, if you don't want to see the defaults or you have one that you're working on, you can make it unavailable. You can also go and create an automation rule right from here. So you can see there's a lot of really powerful, this is a one-stop shop for creating whatever automation rules. But we realize that your business is unique. So we give you the opportunity, if you've started your add-on trial or if you're in the high volume plan, to create custom rate shoppers for your business with your rates in them. So here I'm going to create one that I'm calling a 3-day one. You can see I'm adding a couple of common services, USPS, UPS, and you can see here I can exclude some, do some, and then I can set a transit time restriction. So this one I'm saying, what is the cheapest one that's going, of these 5 carriers, that's going to get it there in 3 days, given the weight and the distance of that unique shipment that we're working on. So now you can see I have a third one available other than those defaults. Here you can see quickly what it is. I need to go in, I need to edit something, right? Oh, I made a mistake. Let's see. I'm going to add in the UPS 3-day select. Really easy to apply here and then save it. And so now I have this updated. And this is going to populate throughout the rest of ShipStation. Also, if I have something that I like and I want to do something quickly, I can quickly duplicate it. We realize that, time is money. So you can quickly take one that you've already created and modify it into a new one. What I want to show here is a preference override that we have. So taking off the 3-day, and then I'm choosing one that I have a time preference for 5 cents. So this is something that we heard a lot from our beta customers, right? That, hey, I do want the cheapest, but there's one that I want to wait a little bit more. There's one that I prefer over another one. So what I've created here is a preference for this rate shopper where if even if UPS Ground Saver here isn't the cheapest, if it's within 5 cents of the cheapest, it'll still select that. And so we've heard a lot of merchants use it for a lot of different reasons. All right, so let's see. Now you can see in that drop down, right? I have the 3-day preference. You see the 2-day one is gone because I turned off the availability here. So this is great to make sure that whoever's picking and packing for you doesn't make mistakes, and that they have the full ability to access it however you need to. Let's say you're working on one and you don't want someone to accidentally click it. Really easy to turn off the availability there while you're figuring out. All right, so here's the new one that I created, the preference one, right? So you see here, you can go to the cost review if you want to understand a little bit more. This is a newer feature that we've pushed out, but you can see that we actually publish on this little one what the other rates were, so that you can confirm and trust that it's selecting it based on the rule set that you created, whether it's cheaper or with the preference. So that you can see there what all the rates are without having to go and rate shop manually. Really excited for that, just to kind of like show the power and really understand what's going on with rating and the carrier environment. All right, let me pick another one here. You have the default rate shopper. As you can see here, it continues to select. Here's another way that you can get to that screen. Just if you type in the sort by, we're really trying to make this easy for y'all to access and learn. All right, here's a rate shopper rule. So great, doing it manually is great, but we all know that that doesn't scale. So you can create this to run on your order import. So here I'm creating a 3-day rule where I'm going to set the rate shopper, have it be the 3-day. And you can see there, it's really easy to see what rate shoppers are used there. If you want to go to automation rules and reorder it, remember these run in the order that they're run on order import. That's really easy. It'll just automatically select it to the end so that you can make sure that when the orders come in with those preferences and with the criteria that you want, whether you're creating an international rate shopper, right? Whether you're creating a rate shopper for anything that's under a pound or over a pound or something that's priority, right? You can create whatever rules to make sure make up a fun one, right? You want everything that's going to Montana, right, to be a specific shipping strategies. You can set up that rule set. You can also add things in bulk, right? So you can select multiple shipments here. You can see that the rate shopper is in there, and you can apply. Oh, can't mix the internationals and domestics. So you see, we've got to figure out exactly how that works. The cool thing about Rate Shopper, though, is that you can mix internationals and domestics in a single rate shopper if you just really want something simple, because a domestic rate isn't going to bring back a valid rate, right? And an international won't. So if you want something that's just really simple, I only want to select everything. Your international shipments will only choose against the international ones because those are the ones that will be valid coming back. All right. So here, let me select a couple here. You can see you can also select it in the sidebar, right? Just like you would on the kind of larger order details page. You can see here it's using the default standard, going through that. And so now, as opposed to having to click every single one of these for one reason or the other, without having to, keep track of price differences, or if you have, whatever carrier contracts you have, you can compare them right there in here without having to think or worry. What we've seen with a lot of the first customers that have used it is, because of not having a tool like this, they've had to make the decision between, hey, I can create an automation rule that is right 95% of the time, and I don't want to spend the time rate shopping, or I want to spend the time rate shopping. Rate Shopper, which here I'm showing you at the add-on, right, where you can go and get this turned on if it's not on a high volume plan. You can just easily click here and get started. It's really easy to go get started here, but you no longer have to choose between manually rate shopping to get from that 95% to 100%. And that's really where we see the time and the cost savings for those people, probably like yourselves, that have decided, hey, I'm good with 95% of the time it being accurate, right? Because I don't want to spend all that time clicking around and rate shopping. You don't have to make that choice anymore. Or for those of you that are like, I really need to make sure that I'm getting the best rate that fits my circumstances, and are willing to spend that time to click around, or even hire someone to spend the time to get that manual rate shopping. That's where we see the click savings, right? That 60% less clicks per order, because this basically automates rate shopping. And so, yeah, really excited to show that to you. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. I know that I see a couple coming in here. I haven't gotten to hop on yet, but I'm sure we will. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it's exciting times, and happy that we could get this in your hands right before the holidays.
Perfect. Now, 'tis the season of giving. So, of course, we have a special gift for all of you.
That's right, Katie. So, as Jonathan mentioned, our high volume plan merchants have this feature already built into their plan, but we do want to make sure that the rest of you have a chance to try out this amazing feature for free for the entire holiday season. So, what you have to do is just go into your ShipStation account, and as Jonathan showed in the add-on marketplace, you will select the tile that says Rate Shopper. Once you do, you'll immediately see those two default options that we mentioned earlier in your services dropdown when you're shipping. And if you send an email to our customer support managers at csm.octane or at octane.com and let us know that you viewed the webinar, we want to extend this special 2024 holiday offer to you. So someone from our team will reach out to coordinate with you, assist you in getting set up with your automation and any other rate shopper plans that you want to set up, and help make sure that you're set up for success for the 2024 holiday season. So again, just go into your ShipStation account to the add-on marketplace up in the very top and look for Rate Shopper. Click that and click configure to set up anything that you want to set up ahead of time. Send us an email at csm@octane.com and we will get you taken care of. And with that, I think we are actually ready to take a few questions. One of the ones that came in that I think is really interesting, Katie, I think you and I were actually even talking about this earlier. Should I always be using the same rules throughout the year as opposed to just the holiday season?
It's a great question. On the customer success manager team, one of the things that we've been doing is working with customers for peak season prep. including working with Rate Shopper to incorporate rates that customers will just use during peak season. So, for instance, if most of the year you use a consolidator and maybe during peak season you don't want to use that consolidator to avoid delays, well, we can help you to set up a number of different Rate Shopper, I guess, strategies and leave them inactive. And then once you hit that peak season, you can deactivate the other ones, activate the peak season ones, and then same thing with the automation rules. We kind of help with that too. That way, it's kind of seamless and it kind of takes the guesswork out of out of shipping for the holiday season.
Yeah, that's great. And just being as prepared as possible before you go into the holiday season
For
is
sure.
definitely a key strategy. Jonathan, you already did touch a little bit on this, but kind of what is the best way to tie this into automation rules to make sure that you get the most out of this feature?
Yeah, so I think that having these set when you have import your orders is really, really important. And I think putting together the right strategy, right, about what is the right given your customers' expectations and being able to tie that to what your customer needs is where we've seen a lot of success. I know that there's a field called requested service, right? And so if you have in your cart, hey, this is expedited or this is free shipping, you're going to want different rate shoppers to drive those different things to make sure that whoever's choosing your shipments or your labels, when they log on and when they open it up, it's just going to peace of mind to do the right one, whether it's expedited or just kind of free shipping or standard shipping. That's why we've kind of started out with defaults of these two, standard and 2 day.
That's great. So I'm sharing my screen, but I know that you two have been kind of monitoring the Q&A. Is there any that we want to bring up and that you haven't already addressed one-on-one?
Yeah, I was kind of looking through some of these. And so if you are a current high volume customer, this should already be in your ShipStation account. Easiest way to find it is settings, and you'll see under shipping, you'll see Rate Shopper, and it's kind of on the left-hand side there. If you have any trouble with that, please just email csm@octane.com and we can help you. Does Rate Shopper work on returns? That is a great question that I'm not sure that I know the answer to. Jonathan?
I'll have to double check on that. There's no reason that it wouldn't, but that's one of the things I can go and confirm. And if not, should be relatively easy to add it, and we'll figure out how to get that in there. But yeah, there should be that ability there. But let me double check on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a good question heading into that all-important return season post-holiday.
Absolutely. And then I saw one earlier where somebody had asked if, excuse me, if you could add your own carrier accounts to Rate Shopper, and you absolutely can. You can probably talk more on that.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely. As long as you have a active add-on, right? Whether it's the 30-day trial or if you're on the high volume plan, right? You can go and create whatever custom ones that you need. We don't restrict that, right? Because we realize that you need to make the best decisions based on your business.
Absolutely. And then another question that came in is says our company quotes guaranteed arrival dates. And this is a really interesting one that we were kind of touching on earlier. And so choose asking what the guarantee is that packages will arrive on time with the cheaper rates that Rate Shopper chooses.
Yeah, so right now, what we use is we use the carrier's published delivery time. And we're being conservative if it's a range, right? Just to make sure that, so it's not in a sense, it's based on whatever the carrier service that you're going into, right? This is really kind of automation, but for the transit day selection, we use what the carrier's published rate is.
Gotcha. And so if someone's specifically, so she had asked specifically if it chooses USPS, there are no guaranteed delivery dates for USPS. So I guess how do you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of them is you need to understand the deliverability and all those types of for whatever carrier that you work on, and try and figure out what's the best strategy for you and what's your kind of tolerance there, right? I mean, holiday times, we all know that deliverability changes one way or the other. And so I think it's really about how do you set up the system to provide the best experience that you can for your customer, and have as little touch in the system as possible. And we know that rate shopping was one of the big ones, which is why we've invested time and was able to get this out.
Absolutely. So another question, a great one was a customer has the option to choose express 24-hour for an extra fee and then regular shipping for free. So what is the best way for ShipStation to see how they're imported? That's probably best in requested service, as you were talking about earlier,
Yeah,
maybe.
so most of our order sources have a requested service that comes in with the order, and that's essentially whatever you've named your checkout, right? If it's free or if it is express 24 hours. What you can do is when you set up that automation rule for the criteria section, you say, for any order that has a requested service of express 24 hours, use my overnight rate shopper, right? Or whatever you ever want to call it. And then say, hey, for anything else, or for free shipping, use, ShipStation default rate standard or whatever one that you've set up.
Love that flexibility though. That's a really nice aspect of Rate Shopper.
Yeah, I mean, we know that like different customers demand different things, and particularly if a customer is paying for it, right? That additional fee, they're going to expect that additional layer of service, and I know that adds complexity to the fulfillment process. And being able to set a automation rule like this, just as a set and forget, right? You open up your computer when you come in, and it will just be selecting that whatever happens.
Gotcha. One more question that I see on here is and I kind of know the answer to this question, but I kind of want to get your take on it. Is if a customer currently favors a default shipper account, is it possible to use Rate Shopper to try it out and then show the savings, excuse me, over the course of a month or so to see what Rate Shopper selected versus what their former defaults were?
So we don't have anything built into the app right now. That's something that we're exploring is how do we have great reporting around this to help with those savings. But what we have seen is that for merchants that use this for the first month that they've adopted this, they see 3% in savings, right? And while that may not sound like a lot, right? If you're spending 5,000, right, $1,000 or $10,000 on postage in a month, it adds up quick, right? And really helps you. And that's really kind of the savings are on the margins, right? It's back to that whole thing that I was talking about of you can set up a rule for a single carrier service and it's going to be what you need 95, right, ish percent of the time. But it's that 5% of the time that you're going to find those savings and potentially select a better experience for the consumer.
Absolutely. It's a great question.
Yeah.
So,
Does it look like we got pretty much all of
I
them?
think we got pretty much all of them that I've started looking through. And then so Max had a question about how to put Rate Shopper as a default so it gives the right way to, excuse me, so it gives them right away the best rate and not their default carrier. Oh, so you can just automate it. So you would create your rate shopping like strategy and then you would automate it. That way it's all of your orders go through.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why we've put that create automation rule right there in the configuration page is that you set up your rate shopper, hit configure automation rule, and you can set that criteria. If you want it to be everything that comes in by default, right, you'll just want to put it at the top of your automation rules, say everything that comes in with this, set this, and then if you have other specific ones, you can put that farther down in your automation rule logic to overwrite those for specific targeted ones. So yeah, that should be that we've tried to make it as easy to set up as possible.
Gotcha. And one last question before we go. Eric had also asked, is it smart enough to know when ground saver is not an option? And I assume that means like when it won't return a rate or when it's just not like maybe like an area where it's not available.
Yeah, so I mean, it works and it works in the sense where whatever carrier rate, right, not just ground saver or anything like that, but if there's not a valid rate that comes back, it won't be included, right? Because if nothing comes back, it's not the cheapest rate, right? So if there's some service that doesn't have availability, right? I think about, let's say you have an international service mixed with your domestic services and you're shipping from a US location to a US location. I think that's the great type of example where, well, this is not available. It's not going to give you a valid rate back and therefore it won't be included.
Yep. And then specifically kind of, and this is really interesting too. is specifically in regards to PO boxes and then also gated communities. And I think that gated communities it's going to be really tough for, a lot of USPS or excuse me, UPS packages are the carriers are able to deliver to gated communities, but a lot of times with ground savers, it ends up getting returned to them.
So Rate Shopper is built on top of how we rate in ShipStation today, right? So if you want to test this and really be totally confident that it's going to be selecting what you need it to, you can manually rate shop and say, hey, for this PO box or for this gated community or for whatever other kind of more specific situation, is there a dollar amount coming back, right? If there is a dollar amount coming back, right, then you know that it will be considered when Rate Shopper runs.
Gotcha. And then can you view Rate Shopper to see it across all orders versus seeing Rate Shopper, excuse me, only on each order?
So you can apply it in bulk, right? Or apply it in bulk via an automation rule. Um, it and then if you purchase the Rate Shopper, if you do a bulk purchase with Rate Shopper, it will rerun as you're doing that to make sure that you're getting the exact rate at that right time. And you'll hit that cost review screen that will then show you a breakdown of who the quote unquote winners are, right? So that you can make that true confirmation before you hit that all important buy button, right? That, oh, okay, this is going to be, X percent this carrier service and this X percent this other carrier service. So you don't have to worry about that.
Interesting.
I think that answers the question.
I think so too. I think one of my favorite like light bulb moments with Rate Shopper was, looking at an order screen and, bulk selecting, I think it was like 20 or 30 or so, and seeing, okay, for all these labels, the cost is X. Then applying Rate Shopper and then looking at it again and seeing how drastically that decreased. And so that was one of those light bulb moments for me that I kind of loved.
Yeah, I mean, I love being able to scale, right? I love the automation piece of it, right? And so I think just that, like, finding the savings in the margins, that really is what makes me excited. Um, letting the computer follow a set of rules that meets what your business needs, right? Without having the need for manual mistakes or something like that. And without that time of clicking around and waiting for the rates to load and like making sure that everything is up and running, it can be really awesome just to have that set and forget and, focus on getting those items in the packages out to your customers. Because that's those delightful experiences. That's what keeps customers coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. I think that was
Some great
couple different
questions.
screens. Oh, great questions.
Yeah, I hope this really kind of show some more of the value of this, which is fantastic. So we do also want to respect your time, so we will kind of let you guys out on this. But thank you so much for joining us. And remember, a recording of this webinar will be sent to the email address that you registered with. So go ahead and get Rate Shopper set up on your account. Send that email to csm@octane.com. That will also be in the email that we send out to help you access that. And let's get ready to roll before Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend hits. And with that, we wish you all a very happy holiday shipping season.
Thank you.